Good evening, everyone. How is everybody doing?
Very good.
Evening, good.
Happy Friday,
Morning,
everyone.
bro.
Good morning, Jason. Hopefully, everybody had a great week so far. And even if the week wasn't that great, it's Friday, so it's still great. We are moving into the weekend. Tonight, it's going to be a very interesting discussion. So we are looking for three volunteers who are going to be interviewing or answering the interview questions, and then we have three judges who are going to be giving scores and then give their input as to how best we could have answered these questions. I know we've done a couple of uh, interview preps, but they were predominantly based on folks who've gone through and have aced their interviews and they gotten their jobs. And I think during these sessions, there are a couple of people who were asking, how do you really answer these questions, right? They were given kind of the structure to how they will answer some of the questions that, we're asking them or how they answered it. But tonight, we are going to actually, have, people who, and these questions, we've not given it to anybody. So, and we didn't pre-select these people. So we are just picking at random on the fly. So if you have an interview coming up or you think, hey, I want to give it a shot, you can, raise your virtual hand and you can, choose to be one of the participants who are going to be answering these questions. And, you might never know what will come out of that. We have a program, a GRC interview prep program that we are rolling out tonight also as well. Maybe probably you're going to get some free sessions on that one as well. So if you're interested, you can either put it in the chat or just raise your virtual hand to be one of the three participants who are going to be doing the interview, and then we will pick for our judges. I think I saw some names coming in, so I randomly picked one. So Frank is going to be one of our judges. So Frank Osei is going to be one of our judges, and I'm looking through to pick who else did I in here. So Frank also had no idea this was coming. And okay, I'm still looking through. And
Doctor, you putting me on the spot.
yeah, Michael. So I've also seen Michael on here. So Michael is going to be, so for the judges, I'm pinning you. Michael is also going to be one of the judges. And okay, so Frank, Michael, then let's see who is going to be the last judge. Oh, and Isosa is going to be our quiz madam, if you want to put it that way, right? She's going to be the one doing the interview. So she'll ask the questions and then, participants will answer. And then our judges will be keeping score. So we will let the judges know what the grading rubric is going to be and the score range. That way they are going to use that. And then everybody else can also judge. I mean, once we've gone through the first phase, we will open it up. Judges will give their input, and then everybody else, you can, if you have any specific questions, you can ask, or you can also give your input as to how we could have answered the question this way or that way. So let me pick our last judge, and maybe somebody I've been eyeing. Okay, okay, and whilst I'm looking through the list to see my last judge. Any volunteers to be candidates for tonight's interview?
I volunteer.
Okay, Dr. So for participants, is it Dr. Jack?
Yeah.
Okay, so Doc, I'll put you on there. So candidate one, Dr. Jack. So for our judges, kindly note that down. And who else is going to volunteer? Okay, Jason. Okay, Jason. Jason.
Question. I'm
Okay,
asking
go
a
ahead.
question.
Yeah, okay, go ahead, Jason.
Will this be done next week as well? Is it
Say that again.
possible? Is this going to be a recurring thing? Is this going to be done next week as well?
But no. So we're not doing this next week, but maybe sometime down the line we're going to bring it back up.
Okay. Let me try my hand there.
Okay,
I was
Jason.
hoping.
So, Jason, I mean, this is total. I mean, we sent the link out and you saw what we're going to do, but like I'm saying, nobody knows what the questions are going to be about. I mean, they are GRC questions, but this is just on our toes, right? Right. So just give it your best shot. That is all that I'm going to say, right? And this is a family gathering, so this is a place to learn and to fail, right? And fail safely, like you say in security. So our last candidate is going to be who? I think we have two guys. One of our sisters will volunteer. So the last one has to be a sister. Mike, what were you also going to volunteer?
I'm still scratching my head. I would like to.
Yeah, I can give up my spot.
Okay, Jason was given his spot to Mike. Okay, so Mike and Nin is taking over Jason. I think Jason just developed cold feet. All right. Any of our sisters?
Let me give it a shot.
Okay, Jacqueline, great. So Jacqueline is gonna give it a shot. You never know. So whoever is gonna come up first, you are going to have a free spot on the GRC internship prep program.
Hey, you should have said that before we started volunteering.
No, I mean, there has to be some sort of reward for this. Okay, so
Did you mean that, Dr. Adu, what you just said now? I'm a lucky man.
Of course, of course. So with that out of the way, we are going to start here shortly. Kindly give me one whilst we transmit this live on YouTube.
My heart is beating very fast now.
I'm behind you. Let not your heart be troubled.
No, you shouldn't be, Mike. This is going to be fun. This is going to be a fun session.
Okay.
Right. I think we are almost on the YouTube. So
Dr. Abdul, can I ask you a question, please?
yeah, kindly go ahead.
How do I join your WhatsApp and YouTube group or community?
Oh, okay. The link is going to be posted right now, so you can.
Okay. Sorry, I've been down since the time I told you, so I've been going through a lot of medical issues, but everything is in progress so far, so slowly. So hopefully, I think before the end of the year, I will be done with my surgery.
Oh, sorry about that.
Sorry, that's why I've not done anything. I've been focusing on that so far. Thank you.
All right. So the link for our WhatsApp and all that has been posted. Time now, right? So everybody will be able to get their hands on it. And kindly let us know where you're joining us from. You can put that in the chat, and we will give you some shout out once we are done. All right. So thank you, everyone. Welcome once again to Eretmis Cyber Chat. We do this every Friday night, 7 p.m. Eastern. And for tonight, we are going to hold a live interview session. We have 3 participants, and we will have 3 judges to go through and kind of serve as either HR or hiring managers for companies. And the judges criteria for the judges, they are folks who've gone through this. They've gone through their cybersecurity training. They have interviewed and they've eventually gotten jobs, and they've been working for more than a year thereabout, right? So they have gone through the whole entire process, and they have that experience, right? So at least they know a thing or two about this. So that is the criteria for the judges that we picked. And Isosa is going to be our lead. She's going to be going through the questions for us and our participants. Each person is going to answer the same question, and the judges are going to be keeping scores. So we will discuss more about that. But tonight is going to be fun. And for everybody else who is not part of the 3 participants, you can also give your take on these questions once we've gone through the whole entire list of questions that we have. So you are all welcome. And we're still running our Labor Day promotion. It's going to end on Monday. So I think we have 3 days to go. So keep an eye on that. And if you want to join any of our programs, this is the best time to do so. I'm Dr. Emmanuel Edu. I'm going to be your facilitator for tonight, with my co-pilot being Isosa. And I'm a former United States Army captain. I'm the founder of Eretmis Academy and the CEO of Eretmis Inc., QSA, PCI QSA company based out of New York, and a cybersecurity consulting firm as well. And I love spreading cybersecurity knowledge, teaching cybersecurity, and also mentoring and building and growing the cybersecurity industry, making cybersecurity professionals from any background, right? So we are going to move on with Eretmis Academy. We are CompTIA partners, and we have 20% discounts that we offer to all our cyber chat participants and also the entire Eretmis community. So if you want to sit for any of the CompTIA certifications, you reach out to us. We'll purchase the voucher on your behalf, and you'll be able to enjoy the 20% that we get from CompTIA for being partners with them, right? So, and also for tonight's session, you can type in the chat Team Live, take a screenshot of it. You can use that for your certification renewal. So for certification renewal, you can either do it 2 ways. You can sit for the exams again, or you can choose to use what we call continuous educational points to renew. So for continuous educational points, attending Cyber Chat is one of the things that you can do for continuous educational points. And if you put Team Live in here, you can simply use the screenshot as part of the continuous educational contributions that you can use to renew your certification, right? So with that, also we move into our Eretmis group. We have a WhatsApp group. We are almost full, but we have a few folks getting out, so you can always join. I think we have like 3 or 4 spots left. So if you're looking to join, once you use the link in the chat, you'll be able to send a request, and if there is space, we will let you in, right? And then our YouTube channel, we transmit everything Cyber Chat live on our YouTube channel. So kindly follow and subscribe. You get all our past cyber chats on there as well, right? So for tonight, we will look at cyber news, and then we will jump into our GRC interview prep program. That is going to be spearheaded by Isosa, and then we'll move into the live interview session. So for our cyber news tonight, I think most folks posted this in the WhatsApp group. So the White House or the United States government is pushing for opening a lot of cybersecurity roles up to they are pushing to employ more cybersecurity professionals. That is pretty much it, right? So if you go to the different government sites, most of which we are going to post, most of the job openings we will post on the WhatsApp group as well. You can start applying for these. And they also had an internship program where for the different government agencies, they were just picking people within the government agencies or even from the outside. You don't need to have any cybersecurity background. They were going to take you through some training. And if you came out good, they are going to put you in the cybersecurity role, right? So those programs are also there as well that you can look into and dig more into, right? So the White House is pushing for more federal cybersecurity professionals, and then also they are looking for folks in the AI side as well, and they are pushing this agenda for all the way through October, right? So it's like a sprint to employ more cybersecurity professionals, and this is not so this sprint, what it is going to do for the cybersecurity workforce is this. There's so much cybersecurity professionals to move around on the government side and on the corporate side. So there's always that struggle between the government side and the corporate side. And because of that, the government side, they had to adjust back in they had to some years ago, I think 5 years thereabout, they had to adjust their pay scale to match how much the corporate side was paying cybersecurity professionals, right? So if there is this pool again, it means that the compensation for cybersecurity professionals are going to go up. And then also the demand is also going to go up, because if the government is pushing to employ more, then it means they are picking more from the market. The corporate side also needs more. So there's always going to be that pull on the supply, right? Like the supply is not there anyways. And if the demand goes up, then it means cybersecurity professionals are going to get compensated well. And then there's more opportunity and there's more room for more people to join the cybersecurity ranks, right? So this is good news for everybody in the cybersecurity space. So before we get into our interview, if you are looking to get into cybersecurity, our cybersecurity entry level course is a very good place to start, right? Most of our judges on here, they went through the entry level. They went through entry level, they went through the internship, they got jobs already, and they've been working for, at least more than a year, right? And for everybody who's gone through the entry level, gone through the internship, when they get jobs, the best thing about this is when they get jobs, and some are here to attest to it, we don't teach them what to do on the job, because the training that they go through in the internship is way more enough than what they need for the job, right? So if you want to break into cybersecurity, you have to be cautious of what type of training you are going through and the foundation that it is giving you, right? And even for folks who just completed and are looking for opportunities, they know within themselves when they read job descriptions that, yes, I can do this, right? So this training is very comprehensive. It takes you from zero, from where you are. You don't need any cybersecurity background or IT background. We build you up. All you need is the motivation and the willingness to do the work, right? Because here, there's no magic trick. You are going to do the hard work that we guide you through, and we take you through the right steps, right? So the entry level comes with the internship as well, and hands-on training where you get to work with the tools, and we build you up in terms of the knowledge piece of cybersecurity. And for folks who are already in the IT space, or you have some cybersecurity background, if you want to specialize in the intermediate level, advanced level, you can jump into our PCI DSS class. And this PCI niche is arguably the most lucrative part of cybersecurity, right? And then for folks with some, maybe training, RMF training or GRC training elsewhere, but you are lacking the hands-on, real-world hands-on experience, our internship, GRC internship and workshop is going to be the answer to bridge the gap between knowledge and skill, right? If you go to interviews, employers they are looking to see what you've done in the security space and what you can do for them, right? You can learn theory and concepts all day, but if you've not really done anything, you've not done anything. You cannot speak to things you've not done, right? No matter how smart you are, you can talk your way through. But if you are speaking to somebody who actually do this for a living, it is going to be very obvious. And simple questions that they throw at you might look like a trick question because you don't know and you've not done it, right? So if you want to really do the doing, right, get into our GRC internship. The next cohort starts on the 21st of this month. So don't be left out, jump into this, polish up your skills, and learn how the job is actually done. Okay. So with that, for our upcoming conference, we kindly strongly suggest that, if you really want to see this happening live, then showing the intent, right? We were thinking we're going to have a lot of folks because for every cyber chat, at least we have 150, 120, there are about at least 100, right? But folks are not showing, they are using the link to declare the intention. Hey, I'm interested. I'm going to, attend. The numbers that we are looking for, we've not gotten those numbers yet, right? So if you want to see this happen, if you don't show your interest, other people are also not showing their interest, then eventually it is not going to happen like we all want to see it, right? So the link has been posted. Kindly go through and, show your interest. So Labor Day promotion still going on. And we are launching our GRC interview prep program tonight. And with the launch, we are going to go through and do real world interviews with our judges, judge. And so for this program, it is going to be spearheaded by Sosa and myself. Then we have some selected folks who are also going to help. And the goal is for anybody, you could have done your training elsewhere. If you are looking for a GRC position and you need help with interviews, I have an interview coming up. We have different sessions and different packages that you can go through. So from reviewing your resume, if you do get an interview, going through your job description, doing mock interviews and interview preps, right, to build your confidence, and then also to help you come up with scenarios and look at projects that you've worked on and, how to answer these questions. That is what this program is going to be all about, right? So we are going to help you land your 100K plus, your six-figure cybersecurity, dream cybersecurity job, which, most of which are going to be remote, 100% remote. Some are hybrid, but not so much of the hybrid ones. So for anything interview prep, right, or job placement aspect of GRC, this is the program to look out for, right? If you are stuck going to interviews and you don't, know why they are not moving you to the next stage, this is really going to be the game changer for you. So with that, we are going to move into our 3 candidates and our 3 judges. Glenda, please go ahead. You are muted if you're trying to speak, Glenda.
I'm sorry.
Thank you.
Some of your,
I'm in,
okay.
Glenda. Thank you. All right.
Okay.
Yes, go ahead, Glenda.
Oh no, I was just letting you know some of your students couldn't get in, but they just said it was
okay.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. All right. So if our recruiter Isosa is ready, kindly let me know, and we will introduce our participants and then our judges. So for the judges, let me pick my last judge. Before, as I'm going through to pick my last judge, Frank, if you can introduce yourself real quick, and then Michael can introduce yourself real quick. And then once you're done, our participants will introduce themselves, and then we will give the floor to Isosa.
Hi, everyone. My name is Frank Othay. I'm the program manager for PCI DSS compliance with global partners. And before this meeting, I didn't know that I was going to be appointed a judge on this. So let's see how it goes. Hopefully I can do better.
Okay, I caught another fish, Michael Yabua. So for some reason in Eretmis, if your name is Michael, you are going to get a job in the shortest possible time. All our Michaels, they are the ones who are, picking and making, big names in different companies for Eretmis. So Michael Yabua is our last judge. I wasn't sure if Michael was going to be able to show up today. So Michael Mills and Michael Yabua. So the two Michaels. We have a lot of Michaels on here.
I just sent
All
my affidavit to the court now for change of name.
Yeah, so if you want to get the best results here, just change your name to Michael. Then when you get a job, you just switch it back to you. Oh, we even have Felix also, but Felix came a bit late. Okay, so Michael, please go ahead. And I know most people know Michael Yabua go, and then Michael Mills will go.
Yeah, hello everybody. So I'm Michael Yabua, and I'm currently the GRC analyst at Gentiva. And as the earlier guest said, I didn't even know it was going to be a jet. So happy to be here, and hopefully it's going to be a great discussion.
All right, thank you, Michael, and our big brother Michael, you can go.
All right, this is Michael here. I know most of you know me from the PCI classes. So this is Michael, looking forward to it. And Dr. Du, did I hear Felix? Hey, Felix, you're more than welcome to take my spot if you want to.
No, but Felix kind of showed up late, so I'm not sure if he's up to speed on what is going on.
I know Dr. Du will not let me off the hook, yeah, but I'm here.
All right, so thank you, Michael. And for our participants, we have Dr. Jake. So Dr. Jake, if you can introduce yourself real quick, and then Michael Enim. So Michael,
Okay.
Michael Enim will go, and then Jacqueline.
Okay, my name is John Maweko, Dr. John Maweko, but my AKA name is Dr. Jake. It's much easier to say that. I was formerly a software engineer before I got into a fatal accident, and it robbed me of my memory. I just recently recouped from the whole concussion. So I think in the next couple of weeks, I should be to hit the floor and keep going. But I need to read everything that I know before that time it was wiped out. But either way, I'm fully aware of things going on now that it was a year ago. By the grace of God, I'm interested in this IT industry, cybersecurity. I and my daughter, I think my daughter should be there hearing me now. She's also interested. I also invited an Army candidate also will be joining us also in the program also. So we're recruiting people to come in here. So I look forward to enjoying this moment with every one of us, both learning and sharing.
Okay. Thank you, Doc. Jacqueline, please go ahead. Since I've seen Jacqueline is unmuted, and then Mike will go last. Go ahead, Jacqueline.
All right, thank you. Thank you for the opportunity, Dr. Adu. My name is Jacqueline. I am a current student in the GRC program under the umbrella Diaspora Care with Dr. Adu, and it's been an insightful journey for me. I started my IT career about in 2021, and I've been trying to break into the IT industry. I banked my Security Plus by that time, just self-taught. But while I was interviewing, somebody saw something in me, and I banked a position as a business analyst. So when that contract was over, I've been trying to get into the security industry, and I've been getting interviews here and there, and I've not been making the interviews. So I decided to join Dr. Adu's GRC program. And I've been getting lots of insightful experience doing that. And I think I'm almost ready to start interviewing again. And that's a little bit about myself. Thank you.
Thank you. And Mike, please go ahead. Mike will be our last candidate for the interview tonight. So go ahead, Mike. Oh, you are coming in broken, Mike.
Oh, well, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. Yes. Thank you, Dr. D. Thank you, everybody, for the time and the opportunity. So, my name is Michael. So, to qualify myself, on here, Michael did interview me. So, that's how I qualify myself. My full name is Michael, and I'm a current student of the school, Eretmis Academy. I'm in the same group with Jacqueline, and we're in the extension class. Learn some insightful knowledge, and we are ready to get on the road. So I take this as an opportunity to, kind of get myself ready and get myself in readiness for the journey ahead. So briefly, my background has been in accounting and finance, but I'm looking to break into the cybersecurity industry. So it's just a little about me.
Okay, Mike, if you can reposition yourself or log in with a different device.
Okay.
You're still coming in a bit broken. All right, so with our judges and our participants set, I will hand it over to Isosa.
All right. Hello, everyone. My name is Asosa St. Cyr, and according to Dr. Adu, I'm the quiz madam. I'm a part of the Eretmis family, and I will be asking interview questions to our volunteers today. So thank you to those of you that are volunteering, and also thank you to our judges. Now, I want you to think of these questions as a conversation, and I will briefly introduce our company, and then I'll go into the questions. In terms of a grading rubric, and this is for the judges, it's going to be 1 point per question. Please feel free to, give a point if you think it's deserved and a 0 if it's not. That way we can really help sharpen our volunteers today. So I'm going to go ahead and do a brief introduction of our company, and then I will jump right into the questions. Anybody have any questions before I get started? All right, so we're good to go. So welcome. Thank you so much for your interest in our company today. Our company is looking for a cybersecurity GRC analyst. We're looking for a self-starter, somebody with excellent people skills and who can work as part of our current GRC team. So I'm going to start first of all with just some introductory questions. And this question here, we'll start with Dr. Jack, and then the next person would be Jacqueline, then Mike. So the first question for you is, tell me about yourself. Dr. Jack, go ahead.
Sorry. Okay. My name is Dr. John Maweko. By profession, I am a quality engineer by education and by practice. Migrated into software development engineer. I'm a full stack Java developer. I love teamwork and I enjoy bringing value to both the team and the organization. Most my strength is project based and solving problems. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Jack. Next, Jacqueline.
Thank you for the opportunity, Susa. I started my career as a business analyst, and where I evaluated business processes, identified opportunities for improvement, and successfully coached staffs on new systems and procedures. I then transitioned into a position as a risk analyst role at my current company, where I conducted vulnerability assessments improved compliance, and this by 15%, and contributed to incident response plans. From that position, I moved up to a governance, risk, and compliance position, where I defined, and I am currently defining and implementing security risk management standards, leading to about 25% reduction in risk-related incidents and mitigating inefficiencies in our systems. I plan to leverage my expertise in risk frameworks, quantitative models, to show that to enhance the risk management strategies and drive innovative solutions to your organization. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much.
Okay, all right. So my name is Michael. As you are aware, my experience as a cybersecurity GRC analyst is in the area of governance, risk, and compliance. Further broken down into specific areas where I have experiences in risk compliance, risk management, and vulnerability assessment, vulnerability management, third-party risk management, also known as the vendor risk management. I am also knowledgeable. I'm also involved with risk incident response activities. I have assisted in both external and internal audit activities. A major role I play as a GRC analyst is policy creation and policy review. I also I'm involved with conducting security research towards keeping abreast with latest information security issues, researching and reporting on these security threats and trends emerging in the industry, and sharing such knowledge with teams and management to improve security practices. So my role as a GRC is collaborative. So just to tell you about a few qualities that I think I can bring to this position. As a GRC analyst, I sit in between groups and teams, between senior management and peers. So this will require that I am able to listen and cooperate. So I work well with others to garner cooperation. I work with other. I am also able to work under pressure. So these are a few things that I can tell you about myself. And as the interview proceeds, there's more that I can share with you. So briefly, just to tell you about myself.
Okay, thank you so much for answering that question. Now, the second question I have is, why GRC? Why did you choose cybersecurity GRC as your career of choice? And we'll go in the same order that we started with, which is Dr. Jack, Jacqueline, and then Mike.
Hi, it's just 1 second, please.
Hey, Frank.
Yeah. So about the judging criteria, right? I would suggest we go by number, like from 1 to 5, 5 being the highest rate and 1 being the lowest.
That's
I think you
okay,
mentioned, yeah. So for all the judges, that way we can elaborate on it. But do we have to go through all the questions before we judge? Because it's going to be too much to talk about.
Well,
I think after each question we should, comment on it as judges. What do you think?
Okay, the questions are in categories. So, so each category has like maybe 1 or 2 questions. So maybe after each category, because these are introductory questions and we just have 2 of those. So
okay, all right, thank you.
Then we can talk about the category. That's the order. Is that okay?
Yeah, that's fine. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Okay, this is Dr. Jack on the phone, in the Zoom. I chose just let me just tie everything up. To my last answered question was, I love solving problems. So looking at that point, coming into software industry, IT, and using programming to solve problems, giving an instance of when we had the COVID in 2020, you can see relevance to how software engineers were able to use programming language to like resolve issue with the COVID-19. So like I said earlier, that I love solving problems. So looking at it from that point and tying it up or integrating it with what the question was asked, why GRC? I know there are many aspects of cybersecurity departments. There's so many of them. It's more like being a cop and also being a bad boy on the other side committing a crime. But the cops are the good guy. So I'm the good guy trying to make sure that the company's assets is being protected. So I will say from my introduction that you see solving problem is not just only to using full stack Java, but you can now also use it also in GRC in solving problem. And another thing is it is so relevant in skills and accomplishment. It gives you focus, to be able to apply some other parts of software engineering into cybersecurity, into risks, and resolve those issues with the compliance and policies that the institution or the organization has, placed down. Another thing is based on the current situation of the company and also my interest and passion of my role in this profession, I think it plays a very critical part of me that it's giving me that notch or edge to see how important I am, how valuable I am in utilizing the GRC analyst role position in resolving issues. To conclude that, I would just say that the end of this will be, for example, outside of work, I am passionate about learning new programming languages and contributing to open source projects. In my free time, I also enjoy mentoring aspiring developers through coding bootcamps. One of them also is my own personal daughter, which will be joining us. Finally, I will say that I'm a full stack Java developer with 5 years of experience working in enterprise level web application. I have a solid background in Java, Spring Boot, Angular, and in addition to the GRC, I think I believe I'll be a robust individual, a valuable asset to any organization that will put me on their payroll. I will rebuttal by saying thank you, because I think GRC also will be my structure and it will provide a clear, relevant, and engaging responses. It showcases not just only my qualification and my enthusiasm for the role, but it also will give back to other people that will come through me and people and audience like you listening to me. Thank you.
Thank you.
Would that be for me next?
Yes, Jacqueline, we'll just kind of seamlessly go from one person to the other so that it flows.
Okay, thank you. That's an important question. So my motivation in the field of GRC comes from a combination of personal passion and the importance of the work and the continuous learning opportunities that GRC offers. So from a very early age, I have been intrigued by cybersecurity and the challenges of protecting systems against evolving threats. That's why I chose the field of law as my bachelor's with a minor in computer systems. And the significance of ensuring data integrity and compliance with regulatory standards provides me with a strong sense of purpose. And moreover, the dynamic nature of cybersecurity keeps me engaged. So I have I strive also in solving complex problems and staying ahead of potential threats. My professional goals also aligns with contributing to innovative security solutions and being something that's impactful to mankind and people around me. That's one reason that I was drawn into the field of governance, risk, and compliance. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much for that question. So why GRC? For me, I look at GRC from the role. So governance, risk, and compliance. This makes it broad and gives me the opportunity to contribute, a lot to wherever I find myself with respect to the company that I will be in, and in this company once given the opportunity. So I will be able to contribute to the governance of companies and the risk programs as well. So everything starts with governance in every company. So when I see that I will be able to contribute to establishing policies in companies, which will trickle down to, ensuring that companies will have strong security postures, I felt that that would be a good place for me, because I love to, contribute to people, even friends. So the fact that I am able to help or contribute to strengthening security postures through the governance and also performing the risk activities that will help in strengthening our processes, then I feel like I am doing pretty well. Now, with the roles in GRC, I see it as broad in the sense that I will not be focused on only one place. It gives me a good visibility into the company. Why am I saying that? Because I will collaborate with different teams, IT, legal, even senior management. So the nature of GRC is such that you are gathering information from different sources and sharing that and processing the information, sharing it with especially like senior management to align with the business objectives, which will lead to growth. So this is why I chose to go that way with GRC. One of the things that I love to do is also teach. So with that, I will be able to help with employee awareness training, which is one significant activity in a company, because people, processes, and technology are the three areas that we focus on when looking at how to keep an organization in a good cybersecurity posture. And amongst the three, people is the weakest link. So I realized that I will be able to help in that aspect in fashioning or developing employee awareness policies to train people, the employees, in order that the activities will not put the company at risk. So the collaborative nature of GRC and the fact that I'll have a strong visibility into the company and do collaborative work, which excites me. That is the reason, some of the reasons why I chose to go GRC. Thank you.
All right, we're off to a great start. Thank you so much. So judges, could you please, using your rubric, give our interviewees feedback before we go to the other categories?
Can I start?
Oh, yes, please.
Oh, okay, all right. So yeah, the first question was about tell me about yourself. I gave Dr. Is it Dr. Jake? I hope I got the name right. Dr. J. Okay, let me call you J for short. So Dr. J, I gave you, okay. I gave you 3 points out of 5. It was too brief, and also it was more of your past as your experience. Like it should be comprehensive. So at least you should let the company know what, if hired, what you'll be doing for them as well. And I think it should be more comprehensive. So going forward, I mean, that's something you should look at. And Jacqueline, I gave you 4 out of 5. It was one thing. Tell me about yourself. It's mostly, I know the company knows you already by name because they've been collaborating with you leading up to the interview, right? But then when somebody asks you to tell me about yourself, you forgot to mention your name. You thank the recruiter asking you the question, or the interviewer. You say thank you for this question, but you didn't introduce yourself. You didn't mention your name as my name is or I am. You just went straight to answering the question. So I think that's what I took a point from you for that. But you did great with the rest. And Mike, you did great. I gave you 5 points out of 5. I think everything was great. Whatever you said about your experience and also your background and why you'll be willing to, deliver in case they hire you. So that'll be it for the first question. The second question, I gave Dr. J 4 points out of 5. Dr. J did great with that. But then during interviews, I suggest or I will entreat you to use more cybersecurity language. You kept mentioning bad people, bad actors. There were some other examples that I forgot, but you kept mentioning, you should use like threat actors or like let them know that you are in the field or you do know what you're talking about. I know you have that experience already, but we get carried away sometimes by using the regular English language. But I think it would be best to use cybersecurity language more often during interviews for them to be on the same page with you. So I give you 4 out of 5 for that. Jacqueline had 5 points out of 5. You did great. The answer was on point. Mike, too, I gave you 5. You also did great with that. So at the end of round 1, Dr. J had 7 points, Jacqueline has 9, and Mike has 10. That's it for me. Yeah.
Thank you, Frank. Who wants to go next of the judges? Which of the Michaels?
Yeah, I guess I'll go next. So this is Michael Yabua. Yeah. So for the first question, I think I'm kind of on the same page with Frank. Yeah. So generally for introduction, right, for GRC, you want to hit the keywords, right? Which you want to bring up risk management, risk compliance, vulnerability assessments, right? So they ask you, hey, like just give a brief introduction about yourself and your background. So you bring those 3 keywords, and then from there you want to expand, right? So let's say example, right? I'm in the same situation. So hey, can you give a little background about your experiences, right? And experiences as a cybersecurity professional. So hey, my name is Michael Yamwa. I've been a cybersecurity analyst. You give the years, and then you give the years, right? My strength, my background, and my experiences I am right, risk compliance, risk management, risk assessment, and vulnerability assessment as well, right? So then from there, you can expand and say, hey, okay, some of the areas that I have overseen during my years as a cybersecurity professionals, that's where you can broaden it and then start making up some of the processes. So you can start talking about policy review, third-party risk management, incident response, right, training awareness, phishing campaigns, which was on the training awareness. So like Frank, I'll give Dr. J 3 on that, and I'll actually give I think Miss Jacqueline, if I get the name right, I'm going to give her 5 on that. I think you did a pretty good job on that. And for Mike, definitely gonna give you 5 on that. That was pretty solid, right? You went to hear the key terms, the key terms that hiring managers are actually trying to hear from an introduction, and then from there you expanded to some of the areas that falls under GRC. And for question number 2, so yes, just like Frank said, for Dr. J, right, you want everything you actually bring up with the interview to go back or hit back on GRC, right? I think your background is in engineering, so you were bringing that up a lot. And honestly, hiring managers, they don't care if you're an engineer, right? They're doing an interview for cybersecurity, a GRC analyst job, right? They don't care if you're a pilot, if you're an engineer. So those, you can bring those a little bit just to show that you have an overall background in the IT field, right? But everything you say should fall back on GRC. So be very specific and that limits your bringing up about your background in IT as well. So I'll give you 4 for that. It was pretty good, but just limit how many times you mention your engineering background. And for Jacqueline, that was great. I'm going to give you 5 out of 5 for that one. And I'm going to give Mike 4 out of 5 for the second question. And for Mike, I'm just going to give him 4 because I'm a little biased. He's been with me for a while, so I just expect him to show a little bit more of confidence. So for now, Mike 9 points. I'll give Jacqueline 9 as well, and then 3 and 4. So it will be 7 for Mr. J. Dr. J, sorry.
Okay. Thank you, Yeboah. For Yeboah, for Jacqueline, did you give her 5 points for each question, or did you give her 5 and 4?
I think I give her 5 for both. So yeah, that should be 10. Yes.
Okay,
yeah.
Perfect. 10. All right. Thank you so much. All right, Michael Mills.
All right, good evening, everyone. Yeah, great start. One thing I want to start with is, let me know if I'm sounding a little bit muffled. Hopefully my microphone is okay, everybody can hear me well.
Yes,
But yeah, during interviews, this is exactly how it's going to be. Like, there's going to be a panel members, and I'll be honest, interviews are very subjective, right? So if there are 3 or 4, everybody, all the panel members are going to come with their subjective, grading, right? And they'll do a debrief, and that's when they try to discuss, right? Very first question is very, very important, right? Because you have to start off with the right foot, right? And mind you, these panel members, they are working. They will tell you, right? We've been doing interviews all the time. You are working, you are waiting. Maybe you have your next meeting with your director, right? So sometimes your mind is not really focused on subsequent questions. Like the very first question, it's very critical, right? So tell me about yourself. Typically, let me start with you, Dr. J. So Dr. J, you did great. You have a solid background, right? With your as a former SDE, right? And what I was expecting from you is to leverage your experience, right, as an SDE, because as an SDE, like you already know, you've worked with a GRC team before with the general ITGC stuff, right? So change management, configuration management, like vulnerability management. So you can highlight those, like, don't be scared, right? Don't be very scared. Like, use your experience as an opportunity. So tell me about yourself. You literally want to start by saying, hey, you have maybe, this is just a blurb, like you're very, very passionate about helping organizations navigate with complex, I don't know, regulatory landscape or different compliance frameworks. And don't be shy to mention them, right? You're an SD, I'm sure as you work with your company, you have to stay in compliance with certain regulatory frameworks, right? So whether it's PCI, SOC 2, ISO, don't be scared. Mention them so they know as an SDE, because guess what? You have to do change management, right? You have to do vulnerability management. You have to patch your vulnerabilities as an SDE, right? You have so many deployment pipelines that you use to push staff code into production, right? So use your advantage, like, from your experience, you've been doing all of these, so you feel you understand from an engineering or an SDE standpoint. So coming to the GRC, you take compliance to heart. So I was expecting to see how you would have been able to use that experience and use that to leverage and talk about GRC when it comes to governance, risk, and compliance. That is one thing I didn't see, but I thought you had an upper hand to be able to do that. So yeah, this is just preparation. And one thing I know, this was just on the spot, right? So then I really got a chance to research, right? Before you go to an interview, just read about the company. know exactly what the company is all about, know their mission statement, know their vision statement. So tell me about yourself so you can tie in. I know this was on the spot. You didn't have any prior knowledge before. So yeah, but this is an experience that everybody will be learning from. So just be mindful that whenever you go into a company, very first interview, go just do a quick Google search, look up the company, see their mission statement, their vision statement. So you are telling them about yourself, you can see. And I remember Isosa, when she was asking the very first question, she talked about something relating to GRC and has to be a team player. So please also mention your soft skills, right? Because as you know, GRC, you'll be dealing with a lot of teams, like 200 teams, just chasing them for evidence, making sure GRC governance, everything is on point, right? So back to you, Dr. J. I think you were good on your soft skills. I really like that. And I gave you a 3 on that one because just from your experience, like I said, interviews are very subjective, right? So if I know you're an SDE, I'll be expecting you to leverage your experience and transition that into GRC. I did not see that. And I gave you a 3 because I expected better from you on that side, but I love your soft skills because that's what every GRC person is looking for, right? Because you'll be dealing with so many teams. So the first question I gave you 3. Jacqueline, on the other hand, I did not hear a lot of soft skills, in my opinion. You talked more about, your technical ability, what you are bringing on board from a, technical standpoint. I was looking forward to hear more of soft skills, but overall, I think you covered all the basics, what I needed to hear. But also, I think it was a little bit lengthy for me, in my opinion, even though you did great. Try and be very succinct, just because there's a lot of interviews that we'll be doing. And sometimes, like I said, the panel members, they have a next meeting with their director. Probably they went through a bad day. They've been doing a PCI assessment or SOC 2 assessment, right? They have like about a day to go. So sometimes, and I'm being honest with you, that's how it works. Like, we don't really care about how lengthy you're going to talk about. The first few words that catches our eye, that's when because sometimes you can sit behind and you talk about, maybe you talk for 5 minutes. The first 2 will catch it. If you're not interested, I've already tuned my mind. I'm waiting for the next person, right? So your first few words are very, very critical. Yeah. And when you started with that, I think you did great. But I was expecting more soft skills. So I gave you 4 on your first one. Mike and Nim, you also did great overall. The first one, I gave you 3 as well, Mike. I think you did everything great, but you spoke too much and you didn't really touch the salient point, what I was looking for in GRC. One thing that I did like was your people, process, and technology, which was very great. So as you relate that to GRC, you can maybe dive that into a little bit more, but not too much, just, high level, general overview about, like your passionate compliance frameworks that you have been exposed to. You talk about the number of years you've been working in the industry, the GRC tools, if you've been exposed to any of them, please don't be shy. Mention them, RSA, Archer, if you use, I don't know, Jira, Confluence, just mention a ServiceNow. Just mention it. You never know, right? I'm not saying if you have never used it before, you should go ahead and mention it. But if you've been exposed to it before, and most of you talked about your experience in risk management and as an SDR, just feel free to mention that out. And also show your excitement at the end of the day, excited about this opportunity. You love working with people and, just soft skills. Like, soft skills is huge, huge. And I was actually discussing this with some of our team today. And most people, we came up with the conclusion that we really care about if you are willing to learn and also work with different teams in GRC. GRC, we really don't care too much. I'm not saying you don't have to be technical. We know that we can train you, but if we've seen a lot of people we've let go because their personal relationship with people was very bad. They cannot interact with people. They cannot collect evidence. It will become a fight. We have directors reaching out to us all the time, complaining about some of stakeholders, right? So it is very, very critical that you can showcase your soft skills and how best you work with different teams. So for second question, I think, did I give a grade for Mike? So Mike, the first question, I gave you a 4 as well. So Dr. J, second question about GRC. You did well on the second one. So I gave you a 4 on the second one. Jacqueline, he also did well on that. I gave you also a 4. And Mike, you also did great on the second one, GRC. But yeah, just general overall, listen to the question very well. Do not over explain, just be very short leverage your experience, talk about what you've done before, and I think you should be fine. So overall, Jacqueline, 4 and 3 is a 7. Mike, 4 and 3. I think was it 4 and 4 is an 8, and also Dr. J, 4 and 3 is a 7.
All right, thank you so much. So we're going to move on to the next question. And of course, after the question, we're going to get feedback from the judges. All right, please list a few GRC tools that you're familiar with and name some of the features of these tools.
Thank you. Once again, my name is Dr. Jack. There are many GRC tools that I utilize in this department, and a few of them a few of these tools are very relevant in our daily operation in this department. So I will say that just a minute. Can I take a pass on this? Just a minute. Somebody else can take after me. I'll come right back to it.
All right, next
I need to take some water. That's why I'm having some. I don't want to cough while saying it. So let me go ahead. I'll come back after the last person.
Okay.
That's okay. I can give you the start. I have a couple of GRC tools that I have worked with. Especially I worked with Researcher, and for the Researcher, during most of my projects, especially when I had to work on risk assessments, I have used the Researcher to document the inherent risk, and use the Researcher as well to conduct the initial risk assessment on our security posture, as well as use this for collaboration and documentation. Another GRC tool I've used is the Qualys. The Qualys is more as a tool that I use to gather information for our security posture as well. And the most important tool I use, I'll say on a daily basis, is Excel. Excel is one of my to-go tools that I use because I always use Excel for my initial analysis for any assignment I need to work on. Is it just to analyze, or is this to gather information? So Excel is one tool I go to first when I have any initial work to do. I have couple of other GRC tools that I have used working as a GRC specialist, but these ones are the top on my list as well. And as well as adding the Outlook to prioritize my work. I use the Outlook calendar a lot to prioritize my work. Thank you.
Okay. All right. So with me, I have a few that I'm familiar with that I've worked with. Zen GRC that I use. I've used it in several different ways, but the most important that I can share with you is the feature that lets me, as I spoke earlier on about employee awareness training, there's a feature that I use to send out, is used to send out phishing like phishing training emails. So I use that feature on that is used on Zen GRC. I'm also familiar with Qualys and Nessus as well. So that these two are used for vulnerability scanning to kind of measure vulnerabilities in the system as part of the vulnerability management program. So when vulnerabilities are scanned, it's used to prioritize and kind of arrange which ones are worked on, followed by what. Also use Excel as well, and I also use RACI charts. This one, it's a pictorial representation of responsibilities. So who needs to be contacted, who is responsible, who is accountable for what, and who needs to be contacted and who implements what. So when there is a project, I use these RACI charts to kind of break down the project to know who is responsible for what part of the project and who I need to contact at what part or at what stage of the project. So these are some of the tools that I use. And like I mentioned Excel earlier on, yes, I use Excel to create charts in the event where I am supposed to present information to management. It helps me to break down the information in pictorial form to ensure that management or whatever stakeholder I am supposed to communicate to is able to understand the information that I am passing on. So these tools, most of them help me to break down information and make information that I am passing on to stakeholders understandable. Like I said earlier on, because of my collaboration with different teams, and it's not everybody that it is technical. So it helps me to break the technical concepts into, pictorial forms and simple terms for people to understand.
Okay. Dr. Jack, would you like to pass on this one? Or
no, I'll go ahead and answer it. In the GRC tools that I've used, just my colleagues have said, I remember I used the Qualys and also used Excel. I remember taking a certification towards the Qualys, but I did not complete that process because I got healed. But other tools that I've used are like the RSA Archer. These ones are widely used for risk management and compliance tracking. Then the ServiceNow, which is automated and they manage risk policy, compliance, and audit processes. The metric streams, like they are very comprehensive platform for risk management and compliance and audit management. I remember also using like the Logic Gates. These are like cloud-based GRC solution designed for automated risks and compliance processes and systems. Then there's another one also known as the IBM Open Page. They integrate like risk management, compliance, internal audits, and operational risk management. Then there's this one across the globe that most companies will use is the SAP. They focus on enterprise risks, access, controls, and compliance management. Then there's another one we also use called the SAI 360. They are formerly called the SAI Global. They offer wide range arrays or list of features for risk compliance, ethics, and internal audit management. Then you talked about the futures like of GRC. Let's talk about the risk management itself. What's this all about? Identification, assessment, and mitigations of risks. We'll talk about risk scoring and risk heat maps, incident management, and reporting. Talk about also like centralized risk register. Then another point I want to say on these features could be compliance of management. They are automated, they support regulatory, compliance like GD, GDPR and EPA. Anybody should know about the EPA. It's a common thing in the healthcare industry. And then we also know this one in the legal term called SOS, policy management and adherence to standards. Then we'll talk about also on that same compliance management, compliance audit trails and certification. There are many other tools I use like audit management, time will not permit me, policy management, incident and event management, third-party risks management, regulatory change management, IT risks and security management, workflow automation. If you're an agile Scrum manager, you can see that you can use this. Also, you can apply this workflow automation. They such that they help you to escalate rules and process, tracking events and task assignment, notifying the stakeholders what is going on, and also resolution. Then other ones that I think I use, not to mention, but the least are data integration. I will just leave that way. It is a very important future to use all these things in building an organization where you are. As you progress with experience into different organizations, you're not just only learning by doing, you're also doing by learning. Thank you.
All right, judges.
Yeah, it shows that. Okay, so Dr. Jake, I gave you one on this question. It seems the way you answering the question is more or less like you did a Google search, and giving us the what these tools do. The question was about please list a few GRC tools you are familiar with and features. So the interviewer is asking you basically like the tools you are using on the job and how you use it, and a few features. And some of these folks that are interviewing you, they are familiar with all these tools that you are mentioning. So excuse me, so you can't BS around it, because they will find out, and you might not get a job. So the way you answer the question is more or less like you are reading from a Google search or something to us. That's me though. That's what I got from that answer. And Jackie, you did great with your answer. I give you 3 because you didn't elaborate more on the features, because the question was a two-way list, GRC tools and also the features of it. So it's not about how it helps you. Like, you're able to talk about how it helps you do your daily job, but then mention some features, let them know that indeed you are familiar with it and you use it in your daily job. And the same thing applies to Mike and him. I think you also went about it the same way. You didn't talk much about the specific features of the tools you don't have to necessarily mention so many tools that you've used. It could be 1 or 2. Just elaborate on it, well, those that you are familiar with. And I know this one caught you off guard because you were not prepping for this interview. So I give you that. But we are supposed to judge you anyway. So I think I'm good. I'm good with that.
Man,
so I gave yeah.
Can I chip in a little bit? This Adoma.
Yeah. Udru, go ahead.
Yeah, so this is what I can say.
Yeah.
Like they have to own it, because you are presenting yourself that this is something that you use every day. So a typical example is, once a driver, you own a car. So if somebody asks you what kind of car you use, you should know, maybe I use a Bentley, and then you should be able to tell you how the mileage, the usage, how it drives and all that. So I think they should have the confidence, and even if it's 1, 2, just be bold enough, make a story about it, and then express yourself with it. And that's what I can say.
All right.
Thank you. Right on the money. Yeah. Thanks.
All right. Frank, what did you give Mike? Was it a 3?
So I gave 1 to Dr. J, and 3 to Mike and Jackie.
Jacqueline. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you. I guess Yaboa.
Yes. So yeah. So for me, so I mean, I stand corrected, but I don't know Qualys to be a GRC tool, right? So the question said, name a GRC tool, right, and provide some of the features that you use that GRC tool to perform on your on a day-to-day basis, right? Doing your daily activities, as a GRC professional. So which Qualys, so we use Qualys as well, but Qualys is more right for vulnerability scanning and helps us with vulnerability management, right? So if I'm a hiring manager and I ask you to give me a GRC tool and you say Qualys, and for what I know as of now, right, and I stand corrected, but I wouldn't consider even though all these tools, are coming up with more features, right? New features. I mean, even like Splunk, I think Splunk is trying to get into the compliance area, but I wouldn't consider Qualys, as a GRC tool. So just on that fact, I'll give Dr. J a 1, and I'll give Jacqueline a 1 as well, because they both mention Qualys as a GRC tool, right? When I say GRC tool, I'm expecting you to say Archer, right? Archer, then GRC. You can even say Snow, which is ServiceNow. So that's, what I'm expecting. Because if you say Qualys for somebody who has been a hiring manager and has been in the field for a while, they probably might think this person is not, doesn't know what they are actually talking about, right? So please let us not confuse, SOC vulnerability management tools and GRC tools, right? So like Qualys is a tool that's mostly used by, professionals in the cyber operations area, right? So those are the guys actually running the scans, right? So it might be a weekly, quarterly scan, right? So let's not confuse the two. So I'm going to give Dr. J and Jacqueline a 1 on that, just because they mentioned Qualys. But for Miss Jacqueline, great for Excel, right? So whenever a GRC tool comes up, your number 1 tool you want to bring up is Excel, right? So Excel can do it all when it comes to GRC, right? And for Mike, great. I'm going to say Zen GRC. He mentions Zen GRC, which is actually great. And but I'll give Mike a 3. So 1 for Dr. J, 1 for Miss Jacqueline, and I'll give Mike a 3. I'll give Mike a 3 because with GRC, you always want to point back to the processes, right? So the question was, what are some of the features for that GRC tool, right? And Mike, you could have easily come up with policy review, right? And you even talked about phishing campaigns, right? So Zen GRC doesn't actually run phishing campaign. So you can actually store the reports of the phishing campaign in Zen GRC since GRC tools, serve as repositories as well. But like to run a campaign, you would probably use tools like Proofpoint, right? So Proofpoint, it's a good phishing, has a good phishing tool, but Zen GRC doesn't run phishing campaigns. So let's say if you happen to be talking to somebody who has been a hiring manager, who has an idea about Zen GRC, right? In that case, that's gonna be a big fail. But I'll just give you 3 because at least you focus on one GRC tool. But then okay, well actually, sorry, let me take it back because I think Mike, going back to my notes, Mike also mentioned Nessus, right, and Qualys as well, I think. So then, yeah, I'll take it back actually. So I'm giving Mike 1 as well. So all 3 are getting 1 because they mentioned vulnerability management tools instead of just focusing on GRC tool, right? So you don't have to mention 3, 4, 5. You can just mention 1 GRC tool and then break down the processes. So as I said earlier, everything goes back to the processes, right? So you say Zen GRC tool, what are some of the features for this Zen GRC, right? So you can say I use the tool that I'm currently using is Zen GRC, and that helps with policy review, third-party risk management, right? Risk management. So you have a lot of options. So just mention 1 GRC tool, make sure it's a GRC tool, and then bring up some of the processes that you actually oversee as a GRC analyst, and then apply whatever GRC tool you come up with to that areas that you are discussing with the hiring manager with. So hopefully that makes some sense. So I'll give 1 for all 3.
All right, Mills.
Can everyone hear me?
Yes.
All right, cool. Yeah. So yeah, Michael Yabwa spoke most of what I was going to say, but yeah, and I just want to bring everybody's mind to this point that I said before. Interviews are very subjective, right? every interviewer has their own grading rubric. Whatever you say is what's gonna catch them, right? And be mindful of what you say. And the tools that you mentioned, let me start with Jacqueline. I know Jacqueline spoke first. Jacqueline, I was extremely impressed when she mentioned Excel, because most people forget about Excel. Excel is like one of your biggest GRC tools or tools you use everywhere, right? So for that, that really, really caught me, right? But Jacqueline mentioned, just like Mike said, Jacqueline mentioned, Qualys. Qualys is just a vulnerability scanner, right? It's not a GRC tool. So GRC tool is a tool that you use to correlate, aggregate stuff like if you're running a compliance framework, right? If it's PCI, SOC 2, ISO, it has a lot of requirements, right? You have to implement controls. You have to collect evidence. So this GRC tool, that is why most people are moving from Excel. But of course, Excel is always the tool that you're going to use. But Excel can break down if it has so many people using it. If you have a lot of X or V lookups, it's going to break down all the time. We see this all the time. So GR2 helps you with all of this, right? Because if you have like using PCI as an example of SOC 2, you have all the trust services criteria for SOC 2. PCI has all the 12 requirements. So you need a tool that can break down this single requirements, right? So you can upload evidence, maybe this requirement one. And I'll come back to Zen GRC here because, yeah. And what Michael said, said he was 100% right? You don't know what the interviewers, you don't know what the hiring manager knows, right? And I've used Zen GRC before, and I know Michael for a long time. Michael also uses GRC too. So if me and Michael are sitting on this interview and you are telling us about GRC2, I've used Zen GRC extensively. I know that inside out. I know Michael has also used Zen GRC. He knows that inside out. So if you mention this and you try to pretty much bulldoze your way around, like it's easy for us to catch you, right? So it's good. You can say it. What did you use it for? Were you running any compliance framework? Were you able to auto-populate all the requirements, all the evidences? If you need evidence, can you send email or a notification to the stakeholders so they can upload their evidence? Does it give you a dashboard like all these requirements I have 70% complete? Like these are the stuff that I'm looking for to see if I am interviewing you about GRC2. So if you tell me your GRC2, right, and you don't tell me how you're using it, I'll start. Of course, you are not here. This is just a learning platform for everyone, so you can learn, stuff that hiring managers we are looking for. But yeah, just something to think about. If you talk about a tool, they'll ask you, how do you use it, right? Don't be mentioning, okay, this is GRC2. Most companies use this. Most companies, no. I'm not asking about what companies use. I'm asking about what you have used and how you use it, and use that to also relate to your compliance framework, right? So any compliance framework that you work with, whether it's SOC 2, PCI, you've not done any of those before, that is perfectly fine, right? But in my mind, I'm looking forward to hear what the GRC tool helped you with. If you did use that for risk assessment, right? Like he was saying, I know you mentioned Zen GRC, that is great. What did you use it for, right? Was it for risk assessment? Did you use to send, evidence collection? Was it giving you a dashboard, like a single source of truth, so you don't use Excel? Like that is what I'm looking forward to hear, right? So for Jacqueline, I gave you a 3 because you mentioned there's Zen GRC. You talk about RSA Archer. You talk risk Archer, right? RSA Archer, it has a risk component that you can use that for risk assessment. So I was a little bit impressed about that. That's why I gave you a 3. But when you mentioned the Qualys is just a vulnerability tool, right? Like I said, it depends on. Yeah, sorry, I thought someone was talking. Yeah, it depends on who the hiring manager is, because most of these hiring managers, they've used all these tools before, right? So be very mindful of what you say, right? So Jacqueline, like I said, I was extremely impressed. It's a good GRC tool. If some companies don't have the money to invest in big GRC tools, Excel is their go point, and I like that. Yeah, and the reason why I didn't give you more points is just because of Qualys. In my mind, Qualys, I stand to be corrected, and like I said, it's very subjective. But in my opinion, I agree with Michael 200%. Qualys is not a GRC tool, right? And when you mentioned Excel, you can mention, what you use it for, right? And also the RSA Archer. I gave it a 3 because you cannot explain how you did a risk assessment. So that was good. So coming back to you, Dr. J. So Dr. J, in the beginning, I was following along. I was getting excited, but you started mentioning so many GRC tools, right? As I'm a hiring manager, I don't need you to, like, it's totally impossible for you to mention like 8 or 9 GRC tools. I'm like, it's not even possible, right? And your tone was like, most companies use this, no, that's not what I'm looking for. What have you used, right? Because I was just, at the beginning, I was getting intrigued, but I was just convinced that you were just mentioning something that you probably have not used, right? That is the vibe that I got, but I stand to be corrected, right? You mentioned, let me look at my notes here, SAP. You also talked about, but long story short, for you, I gave you a 1 because you mentioned so many tools. You did not really explain how you use the tool. And you were saying most companies use this. No, that wasn't a question. I'm not looking for what most companies use. I'm looking for what you have used and how you can help me if I'm the hiring manager, I'm running a PCI program, I'm running a SOC 2 program or ISO or even NIST assessment. I need how you can help me use this GRC tool to manage all these 5 different compliance frameworks, right? Are you going to do it in Excel? That is what I'm looking for. So always think about, do not be shy. If you've not used any, or if you've not worked on any compliance framework before, that is perfectly fine. But the goal of the GRC tool is to help you manage all these different compliance frameworks, right? And also other things that you do. Someone also mentioned ServiceNow. Arguably, you can say ServiceNow is also a GRC tool. That is perfectly fine because it helps with ticketing. It helps to, manage assets when you need to spin up an asset. That's what it is for system inventory. You can also use that for pretty much if you need to decom. Like ServiceNow will give you everything. So for that one, I'm perfectly convinced you can categorize that also as a GRC tool. That's perfect. So just mention what you use the tool for, right? And that is what is gonna convince me as the hiring manager that you've used it before, right? And if it's just based on internet knowledge or what you you just have to convince me. And if I know at least you have an idea, I know that I can train you because you got this, right? But if I'm not convinced that you have you know the intent of what the tool is, if I'm not convinced, I don't know that if I train you, you'll be able to get it. All right. So for doctor, I gave you 1. And I said, Jacqueline, I gave you a 3. So Mike, you also went on and mentioned different tools that were not GRC tools. You mentioned Qualys and Nexus. These tools, we use them all the time, right? Those are vulnerability scanning tools. They are not GRC tools. I know I've already explained GRC tool. You also talked about Zen GRC. I was impressed, but I didn't know what to use Zen GRC for. What were you using that for? I wanted to hear a little bit more of that. And like I said, depending on who is on the other side of the table, it just depends, right? And it happens that I've used Zen GRC before. I know Michael has also used Zen GRC before, and we are not going to do any follow-up questions because if you mention a tool that a hiring manager has used before, they'll start asking you questions about that. So just be mindful of the tool that you mentioned and just know that you can intelligently speak to those tools, right? You talked about RACI. RACI is not a GRC tool. Right? RACI is not a GRC tool. So like you blew me off completely. I'm like, what is this guy even talking about, right? RACI is good. It's a responsibility and assignment matrix, right? If you have 10 people, 10 different teams, and you need to assign who is responsible for what, who needs to be consulted for this, who needs to be informed, that is what RACI is all about. It's just a chart. It's not a GRC tool. So you lost me there, right? So I gave you a 2 because at least you mentioned Excel as well. And you also mentioned Zen GRC. So for Jacqueline, you got a 3. Dr. J, a 1, and for Mike, 2.
All right. Thank you so much for that feedback. So time has gone so quickly. We're going to take one more question. Now, if anybody has feedback or anything, you can always put it in the chat. So let's see. Our final question here for today is, what are the key components of the GRC framework? Please explain each component.
Can you say that question again?
Yes, can you elaborate?
Repeat it. The question was breaking down.
Yes.
All right. Can you hear me better?
Yes, a little
Okay, good.
will do.
What are the key components of the GRC framework? Please explain each component. So what is GRC? Could you break it down?
Sorry, did you say what are the key components of GRC?
Components of the GRC framework. So what is GRC? Please break it down. Explain what it is.
Okay. Well, the component of GRC is, as the term says, governance risks, compliance. So when you talk about GRC, you are talking about the governance itself. You're also talking about the risks itself, and then you're also talking about the compliance itself. Since the last two questions, you have to apply it to yourself. So I'll just go straight forward. I'm very analytical and straight to the point. So the governance itself is like a framework that we use in the organization for maybe directions and accountability. We use that for policy and procedure formulations, strategic decisions, or ethical conduct. And the risk management part of it, I have used that in potentially recognizing internal and external risks. Then also something about the mitigation. We use that to implement control measure. For the last one, which is the compliance management, I've used that in probably in regulatory compliance, such as I said previously, GD, PR, those are all EPA, HIPAA. Then we use also that compliance management in monitoring all the outgoing surveillance to ensure that we are adhering to regulation of the company, both external and internal. And also reporting this aspect that is so crucial in documentation. We are maintaining records accurately, that they are in compliance to the organization, both external and internal. So to round it up, I would say G stands for governance, R stands for risks, and then C stands for compliance. Thank you.
Right. The main components or the key components of governance, risk management, and compliance is underneath governance is how we manage our policies and managing the policies through especially through the business, understanding our business objectives and our security postures and keying our policies towards that compliance, ensuring that we have policies in place towards our employees to make sure that they are keeping up with whatever compliance that the organization needs to uphold to. And this is just giving a broad oversight of leadership, and they are giving them an accountability for leadership on the security posture of an organization. While for risk management is the ability to identify any potential risk that can impact the business operations and how we can mitigate any risk that is uncovered, and also monitoring this risk and the risk landscape for continuous effectiveness of our security posture. Then under compliance now, compliance is part of being the regulations that our organizations uphold to, or one that our organizations are mandated to uphold to, such as PCI DSS, for example, where you're handling payment cards, information, you have to uphold to or apply to the PCI regulations and ensure that you follow the regulations, you have your PCI certificate up to date, so that in case you are audited, you have everything in place. Also, the documentation is under compliance. We ensure as an organization to document every process that we have in place, starting from the security posture, our inherent risk, our policies, our procedures, so that we have them in a clear and concise manner. Whoever comes along should be able to understand this documentation and documented in a way that auditors will be able to understand them, and when they are asked for, we can produce this documentation. The GRC also, we have to, under GRC, we use GRC to show some kind of metrics or report metrics on how we have, where we started from in our security posture and where we are heading to, and to show the growth an organization is coming up with, and also our key performance indicators, our key risk indicators, and all that is under our reporting and metrics. Then continuous improvement. For GRC, there's always continuous improvement in our governance, in our compliance, and also in our risk management. We have to always continuously improve our systems and our security posture. Thank you.
Okay. All right. So the GRC framework comprises of three, if I should call it, sections. The first part being the governance, and the governance establishes the direction of the cybersecurity program of the organization. So the management or senior management will establish what the cybersecurity program will be, and which involves taking responsibilities. For instance, when you're doing risk acceptance, and yes, it's management that will either accept risk. So as part of the governance, it will determine the direction of the cybersecurity program. Major part of that is policy development. So everything in cybersecurity will definitely start from everything starts with a policy. So the policy gives the general overview, a high-level overview of what should be done, and then every like standards and procedures all will be based on the policy that is established by senior management. So that is the governance aspect. Now, with the risk aspect, it deals with handling risk. So it could be risk at the corporate level, where you identify corporate risk. You do corporate risk assessment. We can also perform risk assessment of processes and systems. As part of that, for me, I've been involved with third-party risk management. So this involves ensuring that whatever third parties that my company will deal with will have to assess the risk that they will bring to our environment, just to ensure that they have a good security posture. So the risk component is both internal and external. So the risk component ensures that we are assessing risk all the time, and we are doing continuous monitoring. Compliance section deals with complying with different aspects of security. We are complying with frameworks. We are complying with industry requirements, and we are also complying with regulations. Regulations that come from maybe the federal government, like HIPAA, industry standard, compliance with industry standards. So as part of that, you can also perform like a gap analysis to ensure that all controls are in place to meet all this compliance. So what I've done so far, I've been involved with compliance and risks and policy. So policy creation, I've done policy creation and policy review. I've been involved with risk assessment and management, as well as compliance with the framework, using some of the frameworks to ensure compliance and putting controls in place. So basically, GRC is governance, risk, and compliance. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Judges?
Yeah, so Dr. J, you did good on this one. I'll give you 4. You mentioned you identify the key components, which are governance, risks, and compliance, of course. And you elaborate a little bit on that. So I give you 4. And Jacqueline did marvelous. She did very well. So I give her 5 with the explanation and what they're about. And Mike, I gave you 4 for that. It did good with identifying them as well. But then the explanation was kind of, a little bit, I was going to give you 5, but it was kind of a little bit all over the place. But then again, you didn't prepare before this. You were just called out to, so it's a learning process. We're all learning, and I'm learning as well, even though I'm a judge. So yeah, so 4 for Dr. J, 5 for Jacqueline, and 4 for Mike and him.
All right, thank you. Yeboah?
Yeah, so I think this question actually allowed our 3 volunteers to actually, I would say shine, because they actually were able to actually pour out what they've, I'm not sure. So for Mike, I know he's in the internship class, but like you can actually, like see that they actually understand what they're actually talking about and what they are explaining, right? So only issue I have for all 3 is that it was a little all over the place, right? So number 1, just like Mike said earlier, you have to put yourself in the person who is interviewing you shoes, right? So being the person in shoe, right? Maybe the person might be coming from another interview, right? They might be tired, they might have a bad day, right? So you want to keep your answers brief, right? Concise. Well, not brief. You can prolong it, but don't make it too long, right? Make it concise. Like what I'm trying to get at is that try to hit all the key areas, right? So the question you threw, okay, so there are 3, like GRC, governance, risk, and compliance, right? So we have basically 3, it covers 3 areas. So with governance, you go with policies, right? So with policies, you can talk a little bit about policies and then what is involved in the policy review, right? And how the policies, the cybersecurity policies set the tones for the company, and how management have buy-in in the, because at the end of the day, management actually have to approve those policies, right? So you can speak to how you ensure that there is buy-in from management and from all, any stakeholder who is involved in the policy, approval process. So you can talk about policies, so governance, then the risk. So the risk area, you can talk about risk management, third-party risk management, right? Your risk assessment. Also, you can bring up risk register. Like you have a lot of options, right? But what I'm trying to say is you can just pick maybe a few areas under each section, right? So if it's governance, you pick a few area and then you hit it 1, 2. Then you move to the next one, you hit it 1, 2, right? If not, you're gonna be all over the place, right? You're just gonna be you're gonna be talking. So you have no more words to say, right? And once you have no more words to say, you can feel like you're not in a you're not in a good place, right? Because you just threw out a lot of words without even connecting to what you were actually, trying to explain to whoever was, listening to you during the interview, right? So you want to be straightforward, so concise. Pick 2 or 3 areas under each section, and then you hit it, you move to the next one, you hit it, and then you move to the third one, right? Government risk and compliance, which is the compliance area, and then you hit it. But it's understandable, right? Like I personally, I wish I was this good when I first started, right? Like listening to these interviews, like my first interviews compared to what I'm listening now, like this is a huge improvement from what I'm listening, right? Because like mine, it was even worse. And sometimes I'll be on the phone with Dr. Du for interview prep, and he look like he actually tell me on the phone, like, what the hell is this guy talking about, right? But like I can see the improvement from how you guys are actually explaining the material. It looks like I can tell the knowledge is there, right? But it's a matter of polishing how you actually outpour whatever information is within you, which that is going to take time, right? Nobody expects you guys to come in and be an expert on how to explain in a concise way all these areas, right? So that's going to take time. It's going to take training, like we all went through, right? So you guys did great. So I'm going to give forward to Dr. J. I'm going to give forward to Miss Jacqueline, and I'm going to give forward to Mike as well, because I believe it was a little all over the place, right? So you just want to focus on just two, three key areas. You hit those so you can move to the other sections and then hit each and everyone, right? If not, you're just going to be all over the place, and the person who's listening to you is just going to get tired at some point. But it's normal, I understand, right? You guys volunteered, you didn't prepare, so it's normal that you came up with just, pouring out whatever you've learned so far. So, it's still work in progress. We can work on it, right? So I'll say, actually, this last question, actually, I feel like you guys actually did well. You did better compared to the other questions, because at least here we actually saw that you guys actually have the knowledge. It's just a matter of just training yourself to be able to put all those knowledge right in a concise way, so that way you can give a polished information to whoever is listening to the interview. So I think that's my take on the last question.
Thank you. Mills?
Yeah, all right. Yeah, I think my colleagues have said it all. I don't want to dwell or speak more about it. Yeah, first, big shout outs to those who volunteered, did not even come prepared. They just came in and they just volunteered to do this. So kudos there. And I just want to use this time to also say, I hope everybody's learning. This is just a learning opportunity. Forget about it. We're not really criticizing. The goal is to help you also, you can prepare well for your next interview, right? So just use this as an opportunity that you are learning and, what hiring managers are looking for to see. Because typically, hiring manager, after you talk to the recruiters, your next person is the hiring manager, right? They're like probably about 50, 100 people that a hiring manager is going to talk to, and he or she's going to select, her or his favorite, I don't know, 5, 10 to move to the next stage, which is the, panel, right? So hiring manager is pretty much your second after the recruiter. So think about it, that is not the end. You need to be very, convincing so you can move on to the next stage. Yeah, you all covered everything well. GRC and my colleagues will tell you, hiring managers, from what I've seen experience, they do not expect you all to be experts in both governance, risk, and compliance, right? So if you have a stronghold, you can, just leverage that. If you did, governance, as my colleague said, those are like our GV controls. So just don't be scared to mention, policy and procedures, SOP, right? Policy, what are we talking about? Your general information security policy, acceptable use policy, identity management, vulnerability management policy. Yeah, you can just mention a few. You may not necessarily do it yourself, but you've been exposed since you have worked in a GRC function or something similar to that, right? If I'm a hiring manager, I'm interviewing people, I don't expect you to know everything about GV controls. I don't expect you to know everything about risk assessment. I don't expect you to know it's totally impossible. I guarantee you, and when you start working, you know exactly what I'm talking about. You've seen people work in the industry for about 20 years, right? They don't know it all, right? So whatever the little that you know, just capitalize on it, explain that very well. I'll give you all a 4. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I also give you a 4 across the board. Yeah, great improvement. Just be, mindful of what you say and do not overspeak or speak too much. Just be confident in yourself. And I know sometimes you can prepare 100%. You can get into the interview. I know some people get, frightened or a little bit, I don't know, tense and stuff like that. It happens. I know people will prepare extremely well. whenever I run them through interview preps, they get on a call and it's like they've even completely forgotten about whatever they're about to say. It happens. So just be confident in yourself. You know, keep building yourself, training. If you need to speak to yourself in a mirror, just you have that routine going, go ahead and do that. If you have a spouse, talk to your spouse. As an interview person, just talk to whatever you're going to say. Use that time as a practice. Reach out to friends, speak to them, and I think you'll be perfectly fine, right? Yeah, I don't want to say much. I know we're way over time.
Thank you so much, judges. Very much appreciated. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to share the scores that each person got. So Dr. Jack, for all 4 questions from Frank, you had a 12 out of a 20. And then from Yeboah, a 12 as well. Basically all across the board, a 12. So you got a 12 out of 20. For Jacqueline, you had a 15 from Frank, and Yeboah a 15 as well, and then a 14 from males. So your average score was a 14.6. We'll just call that a 15. And then for Mike, you had a 17 from Frank, and you had a 14 from Yeboah, and I think a 14 from Mills. So all across, you had a 15 as well. So I just want to say thank you because you were put on the spot, you volunteered, and you gave it your best shot. So thank you so much to the volunteer interviewees for making this happen. Take everything that the judges have said and use them. Thank you so much to all of our judges for your feedback. And I know that it's not just the interviewees that will benefit from this, but everybody else that is listening. Before I hand this over to Dr. Adu, it looks like we have some questions because we're going to wrap up here shortly. Andy, go ahead. And after that, Mike and Nim.
Not a question per se, but I would like to say we need to pat ourselves in the back because I think generally our people have done very well. I wouldn't have been able to do as much as they did. And it's easy to judge listening in because when you are in the back, you can figure out things like better than you when you are actually facing the force. So I just like to say that we need to learn from what the little here and there that we got from here, that not to go about answering questions and putting it much worse, but rather be simple and get your point across quickly and easier so that you could be understood, so not be perceived differently. But overall, I just like to say our people did well. Jackie, Mike, and Doc, congratulations.
Thank you so much for your feedback, Andy. Mike, go ahead and ask your question.
Oh, just a quick comment. I just want to say thank you to Dr. Edu and everybody for the opportunity. And I would like to say congratulations to my my co-participants, especially Dr. J, because he always had to be the first to answer. I mean, honestly, by the time he's done, we've been able to put our thoughts together. So I think he did a lot good because he always has to answer first and then give us a chance to put our thoughts together. So I just want to say thank you and congratulations to my other guys.
All right. Thank you so much for that. Dr. Adu, I'm going to hand it over to you.
Can I say what?
All right, go ahead, Dr. J. Oh, you are muted.
I want to thank you all that listened to me. I want to be proud of myself. A year ago, which was August, I took a cybersecurity interview with the military, and I was all over the place. I failed. I'm telling you the real life thing. A serious one, I failed because that was the peak of my concussion. So I stayed away from everything since then. And just a month ago, it went off me. And today, I'm proud of myself being the least because now I can measure myself tomorrow to be ahead again, to be back in the game. So it shows me that there is still something in me to offer. So I see today as a day not only learning from the judges, but also from the listeners who are sending like a message through the chat. I'm learning from them too. So all of you, I'm learning from you all. Thank you all. I can see I'm going to improve myself tomorrow to be a better interviewer and a successful candidate. Thank you all.
Thank you, Dr. Jack. Great job.
Thank you.
Dr.
Oh, and thank you, Isosa. Thank you, our judges and our candidates. Candidates, you did excellent. If you are just put on the spot for every interview that you're gonna go to, you're gonna have the time to prepare, but you were put on the spot, and you were able to deliver, and you did. You went above and beyond what I was expecting. So great job. You just came unprepared, but it shows like everything in terms of your questions and like the answering of the questions that you are prepared, always prepared on the go. And that is really excellent. So for preparation like this, going through and having the ability to go through questions, that is what we are putting together, right? And the link, we are going to send the links out. And next week, we might probably hold another session, switch out our candidates and then also our judges. And, that is going to be a good opportunity. So if you want to volunteer for that one also, you are more than welcome to volunteer for it. So for our GRC interview practice, interview prep, the link will be sent out this week. So you can book a session like this, and then we go through, practice the questions with you, make you better for every single interview that you are going to go to, right? So for our judges, I appreciate all of you, and listening to our judges, my fascination, or the best part about tonight for me, all our judges started from no IT background. So if you are listening to them, they are on top of their game. They've been in the industry for years. They all started from, and that is the beauty about what we do at Eretmis. We create cybersecurity professionals out of nothing, right? No, yeah, they were in health, they were in other areas, but they were not in IT or cybersecurity. So if anybody is telling you it is not possible, or you should go through this and, it is possible here. And this is evidence, like these people are working in different roles, right? And they are making names for themselves, and then also making us proud. And for the jobs that they are doing, they are able to excel, and they are saving their companies a lot of good money, simply because of the kind of training that they went through. All of them went through the GRC, the entry level GRC internship, and PCI. Right now, I think Michael is the only one, but now he's also in PCI, about to finish PCI, right? But although for Michael, it's even better because he's in the GRC space and he's able to relate and he understands what is going on really well, right? So at Eretmis, we create cybersecurity professionals from nothing. And if you are in the process, you've gone through the training, you are now applying for jobs, what I'm going to tell you is keep pushing, right? Keep pushing. Your job is right around the corner. If you quit, quitters don't win, and winners don't quit, right? I know for Frank, it took Frank almost 2 years to get a job, although he has some family issues in there, but it is still doable. Eventually, Frank made it, and he got to his company first 2 months. They did a big party for him because he saved his company a lot of money and a lot of headache in the PCI space. Yes, Frank just got there, and out of nowhere, people, I mean, his director and folks who've been in the company for years, Frank was the one who went to save the company a lot of money, because they were heading, downhill for their PCI assessment, right? So that goes to show you that it is possible, you can do it, and don't give up on yourselves. And in the cybersecurity space, the payoff is bigger than what you're going through now. Applying for jobs and the no's that you are receiving, forget about the no's, just move on, because the price is bigger than however you hold yourself. Don't take yourself too serious. If somebody tells you no a couple of times, so what? I mean, just keep moving to the next one. So I'm going to encourage everybody. It is very possible, it's very doable. For cyber news, the government is adding more cybersecurity jobs. The corporate side is adding more. So you are needed. a company is dying to have you. You just have to keep looking and keep pushing, right? And for our programs, for the internship starting on the 21st, for folks looking to join the cybersecurity ranks, the entry-level program is there, right, for you to join, which also comes with the internship and hands-on training. And for PCI, we're also going to start another PCI class early next month, right? The promotion is still going on for the 20%. So be on the lookout. If you go to the website, Eretmis Academy, all courses are on there. And if you want to speak to any of us, the good part about the Eretmis family is we are all very accessible. All your judges, all the folks who've gone through, who are working, they are all very accessible. You can reach out to them for help as well. And for all our different platforms, for the WhatsApp group, if you're not part of it, you can use the link that was posted to try and join, right? So I appreciate everybody's time. We are wrapping up. We had some shout outs in here for our judges. We appreciate your time. We thank you. And next week, we might probably, for those of you who might still be able to join, we might also pick you to kind of help us with the judging part of this. And last thing that I want to address before I wrap up, I think I wanted to talk about it. So about the tools, right? When they were asked about the GRC tools, I know some folks were putting in here that, but Nexus and Qualys, they are also used for vulnerability scanning, and vulnerability scanning falls under risk management, which is part of GRC, right? So in that deduction, it falls under GRC. So we can make that argument, right? But I think where the judges were coming from was that they were looking at tools that, like, you don't have to do any deduction. They were they are tagged as, or they are categorized as GRC tools, right? In the cybersecurity tool space, we have a lot of categorization. So we have vulnerability management tools or vulnerability scan tools. So if we talk about vulnerability scanning tools and somebody throws in the Splunk is not a vulnerability management tool, but it is a vulnerability management tool. You cannot use it to scan, but at the same time, you can use it to, at a glance, see the security posture of a company because it's getting information from other tools, right? So we can make that argument all day, but when it comes to the real categorization of it, let's make sure we are very, we know exactly where each one falls, right? So we don't have to do deductions, and because during the interview, when you tell whoever is on the receiving end that Splunk is a vulnerability scanning tool, they are not going to argue with you or go back and forth and tell you it is not, for you to argue your point out. They are going to say, okay, yes, and then smile and move on. But then they're just going to give you a big zero, on that side, right? So for the tools, at least know the categorizations of these tools. And for your interviews that you're going to go to, you are going to have all these, some of which are going to be in your job description. So tools that they are using, they are going to list some of them as examples of the tools that you have to know, right? So you have to make sure you have to polish up on those tools and know where they fall in terms of categories, right? So I think that saves that argument. So on that note, I appreciate everybody's time. Tonight we're almost, I think, 130 at the peak, and sometimes Zoom don't show everybody. By the time we're done, it will be 160 or thereabout. But I appreciate everybody's time. We had folks joining us from Maryland, Labeth, Emmanuel, New Jersey, Delali, Michigan, Texas, Thomas, Angela from UK. Oh, thank you, Angela. Is night. We have Uche from California, George from Ghana, Pennsylvania, Mudub, Sandra from New Jersey, upstate New York, and a lot of team lives in there. So for folks that we couldn't mention where you're joining us from is because you're running out of time, but I appreciate everybody's time. This is Eretmis Cyber Chat. We are going to meet next week, same time, God willing, and we are going to have another session, right? So do well to join, to learn and also to grow from everything that we are doing here. And this is also live on YouTube, and we are going to post the video, a recorded version of it, also hopefully by tomorrow. Appreciate everybody's time. Have a great weekend, and we'll meet next week, God willing. Stay safe.
Thank you, Doctor.
Dr. Adu?
Yes, go ahead, Doc.
Please, can I make appointment to speak with you tomorrow so I can have a well-structured and focus of what to do, where to go, and where to.
So there's a link in there. You can use the link in the chats. There's a link that was posted. Kindly use that, and you can use that to make an appointment.
Oh, my okay, this is okay. My stuff was cutting out. I'm in a Panda Express restaurant, so it was going in and out. That's why you see me speak fast so that I don't get cut off.
Okay.
All right, cool. Let me copy it there.
Okay. Yeah, all right, everyone. Have a great rest of the evening, and we'll meet next week.
Thank you.
Good night.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.